Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing-related tweets, or you can subscribe to the channel and get notifications whenever a new boxing video is up online. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Tunde Ajayi because he's come under the trainer of Anthony Yarde. He's come under a lot of stick, a lot of criticism, and there's almost this narrative now that started, which is almost getting really personal, where people are speaking about him as though he's held Anthony Yarde back, as though he's the reason that Anthony Yarde has a couple of losses on his record, and so on and so forth. So I want to talk about this, and this is going to be a defense of Tunde Ajayi because I think that narrative is wrong. And let's talk about why I think that narrative is wrong. First and foremost, Anthony Yarde, there's this idea somehow that Anthony Yarde is this big, strong brawler who relies on his power, and he just walks in there and he blows guys out, and, you know, he hasn't developed as a boxer, and he's being held back by Tunde and all that. Well, listen, let's analyze it. Anthony Yarde is not the sort of fighter like a Babbage in the heavyweight division who just comes in there trying to maul a guy without any educated pressure, just throwing punches, hoping to rely on a big punch to knock a guy out. He's a lot more subtle than that, okay? He's got some nice upper body movement. He's got a really nice pull counter. He's got a nice leaping left hook. He rolls with punches fairly well. You see him work in the gym as well with him back on the ropes. We've not really seen him get pushed back onto the ropes, but I have a feeling he would be able to handle himself in that situation because he does deflect shots very, very well. He takes his time. He can be patient. He doesn't rush. He's got some variety in the way he throws his shots. So Anthony Yarde's got some nice subtleties there. He's not just a guy that just comes in leading with his face, looking to destroy a guy and take him out. There's a thought process behind what Anthony Yarde does. Now, Anthony Yarde didn't have an amateur pedigree, a deep amateur pedigree. So he's been learning on the job. Well, where do you think he picked up on these skills from? You know, a guy who's never fought before, who just steps into the ring because he's really big and strong and he can throw some shots, doesn't just come out with these little subtle things, these little pull counters, and these, you know, he turns his body off to the side and takes a step back as you're going to throw a shot, just to roll with a shot. He doesn't do these things. Lyndon Arthur spoke openly and honestly post-fight, where he admitted after being prompted by Bunce to, you know, the question was, did you hurt your right hand because you weren't throwing it? He admitted that, no, that's not the case. It's just that he had a very good defense, as in Anthony Yarde had a very good defense, and I couldn't land the right hand. That means he took that right hand away from him. Okay? These are subtle things to do things like that. You don't just turn up as a brawler and have these things at your disposal. So where did he learn that stuff? He learned it by working with Tunde Ajayi in the gym. This is where he's learned this stuff from. You know, Tunde's been there since the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, or if not for a very long time. These are things that he's been working with Tunde for a long time. So this is where he's picked up on these things. So how about the big fights? Let's talk about the big fights. He took quite a big step up to jump up to Sergey Kovalev. He had been fighting sort of at domestic and European level opposition, and then stepped up to face Sergey Kovalev. Now, make no mistake, Sergey Kovalev is an elite level fighter in terms of skill set. Yes, he was past his best by the time the Yarde fight came about. That's true. But that doesn't mean he was washed up. This is a top level Hall of Fame light heavyweight, okay? He's a guy that fought Andre Ward twice, and it was a nip and tuck fight in the second fight where he got stopped, and they were low blows, let's be honest. That was a controversial stoppage. If he gets that 5-minute stoppage to recover from the first low blow, let alone after 3 or 4 low blows, who knows how that fight goes on to develop? Who knows what would have happened if he got a second wind? But one thing's for sure, if you look at both fights, one thing becomes evident. On the outside, Kovalev was a better fighter against Andre Ward. Andre Ward was having a lot of success, and he was the better fighter when he'd gotten up close against Kovalev. But at range, Kovalev was superior. So you know that Andre Ward is an elite level boxer. Well, Kovalev was outboxing him at range. So that tells you how good Kovalev is. He's not just a mauler or a brawler. He's a top level fighter. So when you take that into consideration, you're not really going to expect a guy like Anthony Yarde to outbox Sergey Kovalev. He doesn't have the amateur pedigree. So Anthony Yarde's best hope is to use his physical attributes and these little subtleties we spoke about earlier to land something big, to disguise certain shots, land something big, work on landing that big shot, and then trying to take him out. Now, when he had Kovalev hurt and reeling, Tunde Ajayi said, go for it. Go and take him out. So he tries to empty the gun. He's 1 or 2 punches away. It never arrives. Kovalev survives. He uses all his strength, all his experience, all his skill to survive. He survives. Anthony Yarde's now tired. Kovalev gets back to boxing, does what he does best, takes Anthony Yarde out towards the end of the fight. I believe it was round 11, if I remember rightly. Now, he got a lot of criticism for that, Tunde Ajayi. People say, "Oh, that was terrible advice. Why was he told to take his not to take his foot off the pedal. He told him to go for it, to knock him out, and people are criticising him. That cost Yarde. Did it? Really? What was he going to do? Stay off and outbox him? Let's talk about Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. When Anthony Joshua was reeling and tired and could barely keep up his hands, and he'd been dropped and he'd been hurt, the reports are, according to Vladimir himself, Vitaly, and according to Vitaly, they both said this, Vitaly is the one that advised Vladimir to be patient. Don't go for it yet. Don't empty the gun on him now. Be patient. Just keep landing that jab. Keep landing that jab. No need to rush. We'll take this guy on points. We'll take him late on. Don't rush. So Vladimir didn't put his foot on the gas. He gets caught with a big shot at the start of round 11, and then he gets taken out. Now, people criticised Vladimir for that, or Vitaly, and they said that advice was all wrong. He should have emptied the gun. He could have knocked him out. It would have been the greatest comeback in history, and so on and so forth. People were saying, what a mistake he made. Well, Tunde does the opposite with Anthony Yarde, and now all of a sudden Anthony Yarde's the one that's wrong. Come on. That Tunde's the one that's wrong. Come on, man. You can't have it both ways. These things are decided on the details. If Yarde lands one or two big shots when Kovalev is hanging on and he drops him or he takes him out, people are going to say, what a genius Tunde Ajayi is. This guy, this trainer, he took this guy without a pedigree, had some great physical attributes, he added all these subtleties, he went to Russia, he dethroned Sergey Kovalev. What a genius. But because those one or two extra punches didn't land, all of a sudden, and he lost against a Hall of Fame heavyweight, all of a sudden Tunde's a bum and he gave him terrible advice? Come on, man. Now let's fast forward to Lyndon Arthur. I made that video 2-3 days ago. You can go and watch it, where I'm talking about the subtleties. I'm talking about the actual scoring of the early rounds that a lot of people were making out that Lyndon Arthur was cruising them. And I broke down how many punches. I became my own CompuBox. I watched the fight on slow motion. I counted the punches that were landing. I was ignoring the commentary. And I've told you, if you count the body work, I broke it down. Jabs to the head, jabs to the body. Power shots to the head, power shots to the body. And I started a tally, recording what they were both landing. This idea that Lyndon Arthur was outlanding Anthony Yarde and outboxing him and all that early in the fight is a myth. Go and watch that video. Go count the punches for yourself. You cannot just discount body shots. And if you're talking then about if they're similar in what they've landed, and then Anthony Yarde's also landed one or two eye-catching power shots, in a way, you got scored around Anthony Yarde. And instead, people are making out, commentators and all that, oh, that was definitely Lyndon Arthur's round. Why? This idea that just because you have these preconceived notions of what the fight should look like, and you're thinking, Lyndon Arthur on points or Anthony Yarde by knockout, Lyndon's got to keep it long, Anthony's got to get close. I spoke about this stuff on my Twitter thread before the fight started. So then when it doesn't happen, people are sitting there going, this is Lyndon's fight. Anthony can't get close. But just because they're not fighting the way that you expected the fight to go, it doesn't mean he automatically loses the fight. If I want to keep you on the outside and I want to outbox you, I'll give you an analogy. I want to outbox you. I'm fighting you. I want to keep you on the outside and outbox you. You manage to work your way in, though, and I cannot keep you off. You've got really fast feet. You're constantly coming inside. I can't keep you off, and we're having a tear-up. But I'm battering you in the tear-up. I'm the one landing the big shots. What? You're winning the fight because I'm fighting your fight? No, I'm winning the fight because I'm beating you up. It's about who's landing the shots. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, regardless of how you scored the fight, it was a close fight. Even Anthony Yarde had it 7-5 to himself. So it was a close fight either way. The two judges that had it to Lyndon Arthur had him winning 115, 114. So whichever way you look at it, it's a close fight. So this idea, and Lyndon Arthur's not a domestic level fighter. He's a good fighter, beautiful jab. And he's got a very good right hand that like I said, he admitted that he couldn't land because Anthony Yarde had a great defense. He took that right hand away from him. Where does Anthony Yarde learn these things? He learns them in the gym. He learns them with Tunde Ajayi. So this idea that Anthony Yarde is some brute and that Tunde's been holding him back with his decision making just isn't true. There's a lot of subtleties there. Yes, he's got a lot to learn. Of course he's got a lot to learn. They both have. Don't get me wrong. I would have given Anthony some different advice on the night. I was tweeting live about that fight. But again, we have the benefit of seeing it from the TV. He's ringside. It's different. Additionally to that, Tunde's not an experienced trainer either. He's also learning on the job. I mean, he might be experienced, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's not like a Hall of Fame trainer that's taken someone to the top yet. He might get there one day, who knows? But the point is, he's done really, really well with Anthony Yarde, and Anthony Yarde's done really, really well with Tunde. So I don't understand where this idea that he's some sort of, yes, like I said, I would have given different advice in the corner. But don't make out like these little minor errors or maybe even major errors don't happen with Hall of Fame trainers too. It's one of those things. Again, let me know what you guys think. What should be the future of Anthony Yarde? Do you think Tunde's doing a good job and he should stay with him? Should he leave? If so, who should he go to? A lot of people often, when they talk about go to this trainer or that trainer, they don't even think about the fighter's style. They just name someone who's a famous trainer. Oh, I'll go with Freddie Roach. Well, Freddie Roach or Manny Stewart, God rest his soul, would have had his, they got their own styles. Virgil Hunter actually has worked with different styles, but there are some trainers. Joe Gallagher has a system. The Ingle Gym has a system. There are some guys that have got systems and ideas, almost like they've created their own martial art. Other guys will see what a particular fighter's got and try and work with what he's got, and so on and so forth. Everyone's different. But just because you're a big name trainer, it doesn't mean you're automatically going to improve a guy, a lot more than a guy that's worked with him for a long time. So let me know what you think. Why is it, is Tunde deserving of this criticism? Personally, I don't believe so. I'm defending him. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, guys. Chat to you soon. Take care and God bless.